So a poster popped up on Poll a couple of days ago. Actually, probably more than... Anyway, he'd been there a few times previously, and he claims to be someone that works at the Vatican. Now, I think this guy's legit, and a lot of other people do too. Basically because of some of the information he says and the stuff that lines up with, you know, what we're seeing. He said he was breaking his oath to not talk about some of this stuff because he feels like time is short. His job at the Vatican is to basically be a debunker. When they have a case where there's an exorcism in play, what he does is he goes first and tries to rule out any medical problems, mental health, whatever it could be, before the exorcist then comes in and does his stuff. He's well versed in demons. He says he knows all the names of the major players. Demons have, there's a hierarchy there. Of course, there are princes and lords, and there's named demons, and then there's little ones that don't really have names, so just part of the legion. It's like a video game, basically. So he was on, he made a series of posts, and I'll put a link to the thread so you can read it yourself in a comment, but he dropped some pretty crazy stuff, and a lot of it does line up with what we're seeing in the world. But the biggest bombshell, and I don't know how I never figured this out, was that Satan, who, that's not his real name, he's just taken that because men have used it with him over the years, is the first son of God. Jesus' brother, and by extension, our brother. And the idea of it, like, it's one of those things where it's like, how did I never see that before? And that's basically what he says too. He's like, I don't understand how people haven't figured this out already. And it makes a lot of things make a lot more sense. Defeating hatred, the jealousy, why he hates God so much. When God calls Jesus his only begotten son, I never thought twice about that. I didn't run to look up what begotten meant. What he's saying basically is there's another one, there's another son. Now the story, from what I could glean from what just reading these posts, and you can check them out yourself, is that God and Satan existed as beings that were, drifting through whatever cosmos or whatever they drift through. Cosmos implies space, and there's no such thing as space, but you get the point. So he was here since the beginning of creation. And he gives his real name, Satan's real name, I forget what it is, but it's in the post. Yeah, I figured you can see all this stuff yourself, so, and plus I'm out here walking, so I don't actually have notes, but, and then they had some kind of falling out, as dads and sons do sometimes, and it caused everything to flower out of that. Now, so what Satan's doing is, the whole thing is getting back at dad. And suddenly, when you look at a lot of stuff from, theology and the story of God and the Bible, it makes everything make a lot more sense. At least as far as the rage and why it's such a personal thing for Satan. He wasn't just an angel who was a music teacher. He's his son, And that inspires a lot of other thoughts. The implication of that is pretty crazy. And another thing he dropped, which is a pretty big bombshell, if true, was that the original texts weren't in Hebrew, they were in Greek. And as he said it in a way that he goes, I can't exactly say it, but if you're a carpenter in that part of the Middle East, not a lot of forests out there, but there's a lot of forests in Greece. So he's implying that Jesus was Greek. there's a lot of deception going on in their history. We know that. We talk about it here a lot. But a lot of what he says about other things too, they're pretty convincing. If it's a LARP, it's a really good one. And he's been back a couple times, and not since these big reveals. Since he dropped all this information, they haven't seen him since. But yeah, it's basically we're always being deceived here. This whole thing is a deception, and it's like just deception on top of deception, never ending. And sometimes, in the case of this guy too, when you get some information, it passed my fucking shit test, you know what I mean? Like the spiritual shit test, the inner tuning fork. It just felt like he was telling the truth. I don't know how you determine that. I don't know what that means, but somewhere inside you just kind of feel it. It's a frequency thing, frequency. Truth has its own frequency. Lies have their own frequency. You don't need to know exactly what the frequency is, like in a quantifiable level. You just feel it. Again, this is like the reverse of you're just the architect, not the builder. You don't need to know how the machinery actually works sometimes. And in this case, I just felt like this guy's telling the truth. And there's a lot of detail in these posts too, and you should check it out yourself. But those are the two major ones. There's other stuff in there too. There's a lot of other interesting stuff, and I'm gonna read it more. I just discovered this yesterday, or saw this yesterday. So I'm gonna read it more and then maybe do a more detailed kind of talk about it. But yeah, check it out. The God having the son, Satan being God's son, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, why didn't I realize that? Why didn't, it was right there the whole time, all of it. There was a third big thing that I was going to go over here, but I can't think of what the fuck it was. Yeah, check it out yourself. It's not a lot of reading. They have all his posts compiled in one place. So there's one thread that has just his posts and not everyone else's, which is pretty easy to read through if you want to just see what he says. And that's the one I'm going to link, so you can look at that one and get all the information there. But yeah, it's pretty crazy shit. But, oh yeah, here's the other thing. Satan is here, and he said he's here, and he realizes who he is. So that's what prompted him to start talking, to start spilling, because Satan is on the ground here, and that's why he was saying it's so cold across the world. We're seeing record temperature drops in places that we've never had cold temperatures. It's freezing here, and it never is in Hawaii. Well, it's not freezing, but it's comparatively. We have sleet and snow up on the mountaintops. If you get snow sometimes, but not to the degree it is up there now. Frozen ice, it's crazy. And this cold snap is happening everywhere. He said because this is an extraplanar being. He said one hasn't thrown the earth in thousands of years, and you're going to start seeing a lot of like strange climate behavior, cataclysms and stuff, just because he's on the earth. Now, he also made a point to say he's aware of who he is. He knows who he is, because imagine when he's born, it takes him a while to figure it out, but they said not only is he here, but he is aware of who he is. And the thing about Satan, and he was saying, which is kind of frightening, is that he's not going to be some kind of politician type character that people don't like. He's not going to be like a Trump type character. He's going to be the savior of humanity. He said all the things that have been going on with these Moloch worshippers, their sacrifices and all that kind of stuff, he's implied that he's going to bring that into the light and destroy them all. He's going to remove humanity from the shackles of our farmers, of the leaders, of the Klaus Schwabs. He's going to, however he's going to do it, he's going to rout them and get rid of them. He's going to crush the child slavery thing, the human trafficking. He's going to get rid of all that. He's going to expose it all and destroy it. So what's happening is people will love him. And he says it's going to be to the point where people will start to think that, have I been worshiping the wrong guy? Look at what this guy just did. So it's kind of brilliant. He set up all this evil shit on the world. All this evil stuff, these evil cabals, these evil devil-worshipping child, businessmen, just so that he could come in and destroy them all to get in good with the people here. And a lot of people, he said, it's expected 9 out of 10 are gonna become fans of his. Because it's like, look at what he did. You know, he stopped all the worst evil in the world. He's gonna free us from the shackles of our controllers. Real savior of humanity stuff. Where, like, you'd have to follow this guy. You know, it's going to be like that. And a lot of people that aren't even religious and don't know anything about this are definitely going to follow him. And they're going to be so motivated by him, they're going to attack the people who aren't following him. You know, you think we had a hard time with the science juice and the people that want us to take it. This is that times a million. And how do we argue against it? He just broke us free. He freed humanity. He saved all those kids. He killed the Satan worshippers. What more do you want? What's wrong with you? He's our guy. And those of us that know are going to be like, yeah, I don't know. I think he's really the devil. We're going to look stupid. Pretty crazy. So, yeah, that's, you know, I knew there was going to be some test. They've always said it's going to be a real bad test. And I always thought it was going to be something along the lines of the jab thing. And I remember thinking, like, I avoided it. And it was tough, but, you know, I'm fine. Everybody's fine. It wasn't the end times kind of test of faith that, you know, they described. And I thought, if anything, it's going to be something like that, where we're going to be more up against it. Like, you know, they've already did that. You can't buy anything without the mark thing. You won't be able to shop. Yeah, I couldn't, you know, and a lot of stuff. So it wasn't that bad. Now it's all back to normal, amazingly. And no one talks about it. And if you do bring it up, you're a Trump supporter. And you're absolutely all right. So that's how that is. But I figured it'd be something like that, except way worse. This is where this kind of thing is tough. How do you get through this? I think the only way you would is you'd pretend to be a follower. But I don't know if that's going to work. That's deception. I don't know. But that blew my mind, you know, because I never considered that. So all this degenerate, bad, evil stuff and the way society's going and how it looks like hell, he's going to get rid of all that. He's going to deliver humanity from illness and sickness, and because all those things we're held in the place we are because of the powerful in society that keep it the way it is, whether it's, you know, big corporations or whatever, the way they, you know, people are slaves, basically. He's going to get rid of all that. And it's going to be hard to go against a guy like that. But yeah, check out the posts. I'm going to leave a link to it here, and you can read them yourself. But yeah, those are the 3 big ones. And it's pretty big shit, you know. I mean, I'm ready for it. At least, you know. And if it doesn't happen, if it's a LARP, that's fine. But it sounds too, I don't know. you look at it and let it go by your spiritual shit test and tell me what you think. Until next time, don't blame the teacher, blame the school. They always run from us. They don't want none of this.